Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl Tanya, Lady T, and as promised, I'm doing a video today on credit. It's been a highly requested video. You all wanted to know what I did to increase my credit score and what I did to repair my credit from just years of abuse and carelessness on my part. So if you're interested, this is going to be part of my home series. Again, just getting knowledge to people that was helpful to me, and hopefully it will be helpful to you. So if you want to know what I did, you just keep listening. Okay, y'all, I'm going to just jump right into it. One of the first things I did to increase my credit score instantly, because this is something very important that I think everybody should know, and where I found and learned this information is about maybe three and a half years ago. I listened to Sirius XM radio, and the channel I listen to all the time is channel 126, which is Urban View. Well, on that show, or on that radio station on Sirius XM, and it is a subscription radio. You have to pay for the subscription. But anyway, there's a show that comes on every Saturday morning between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. every Saturday morning. The name of the show, the host of the show, his name is Lou Hutt. He is a tax attorney and a CPA, certified public accountant. So not only is he an accountant, but he's also an attorney. He's a tax attorney. He has such a wealth of information that he talks about finances, he talks about real estate, he talks about business, just everything you could even think of concerning finances. He is an awesome beacon of information. Well, one of the things he was talking about on his show, he said, you know, here's one way people can increase their credit score instantly, and that's by making sure that all your credit accounts has the same name on it. And I thought, I wonder what he's talking about. He said, so let's say you've got 4 or 5 different credit cards. On that credit card, make sure your name is the same. In other words, I'll use me for example. If I've got my name listed as Tanya L. Howell, and then let's say another card, you might got just Tanya Howell, or Tanya with your full middle name spelled out, Howell. He said what you need to do is look at all of your credit, any kind of account that you've got credit with. Make sure that if they're not all the same, you need to change all of them so they read the same way. Now, if you already hold a mortgage, of course, there's nothing much you can do about your mortgage that you've got your name, but whatever your name is on your mortgage, you know, make sure everything throughout your credit is matching. And I promise you, y'all, I did that. And it was funny when I pulled my credit cards out of my purse. I thought, wow, I never even knew that. You know, some had Tanya L. Howell, some just had Tanya Howell. And I had one that had my middle name spelled out. And I thought, okay. And so when he said that, he said, when you do that, he said, you know, of course, all your creditors report in your payment history and your status every 30 days. They report that to the credit bureaus. And we'll talk about the 3 different credit bureaus. But what it is, every 30 days, they're reporting in your payment history, if you were late, all that good stuff. And he said, in 30 days, or whenever the next cycle is, he said, doing that will increase your credit score instantly, anywhere from 20 to 30 points. Just doing that. And sure enough, I did that. I made sure all my name was correct, you know, were the same across the board. And sure enough, my credit score went up 22 points. I was shocked. I was amazed. And so when I started listening to his show, that was the proof that I need that this man knows what he's talking about. So I try to tune in to his show when I'm not doing live with you all, or just whenever I can go back on demand, because like I said, I am a Sirius XM subscriber, so I can pull up stuff on demand. I can listen to past shows. So anyway, that's just some good information for anybody who may not have bad credit at all, but just want to increase their credit score so they can be more credit worthy. Do that. So that's a tip that you can instantly increase your credit score. So I wanted to get that out right there in the front. And let's just talk about the 3 credit bureaus. The 3 credit bureaus that have all your information from your creditors, that decide your credit worthiness, that produces a FICO score. The 3 credit bureaus are Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Those are the 3 bureaus that have all of your credit history, whether you have it or not. Some people don't believe in credit, so they don't buy anything on credit. But here's the thing that you need to know, and this is for younger people who may not know. Your credit score or your credit status, and we hear it called your FICO score, is and it ranges from, I think, 350, and the highest is 850. I think the highest you can get on a credit score, of course, 850 being excellent, superb credit. But anyway, it generates a score which lets banks, even if you're wanting to rent, if you're wanting to apply for certain jobs, your credit score is a number that will either give you access or not. And so even though people say, well, you know what, I don't believe in credit, I pay for everything in cash. If I need something expensive, then I just save up for it. And that's beautiful and that's wonderful if you're able to do that. But some people, they don't have that. They don't have money. They have emergencies that may happen. So they have to utilize credit. So anyway, but that's just a whole nother subject for people who don't use credit. This is specific for people who use credit and they want to enhance or repair their credit so that they can be part of be in the game. In other words, if you're trying to get a house or you're trying to get a car, whatever the case may be, this video is for people who are trying to better their credit so that they can have access to some things. So like I said, going back to the credit is not just for purchasing things. It could be for you getting a job. It could be for, let's say you're going to a insurance company and you wanting to get home insurance or car insurance or renter's insurance. They will run a credit check to check your credit worthiness. And that credit score that it kicks back out will determine whether you'll have a high premium. It'll determine whether you'll have to pay a higher deposit for a service or goods. For instance, whenever I moved out of my apartment and then when I bought my house, well, when I was in my apartment, water and trash was included in my rent. So for the past 11 and a half years, I didn't have a water bill and didn't have a trash bill. Well, when I moved, got ready to move here and transferred all my, my utilities and all that over here. Well, of course, I had to open up an account for water. Well, they run a check and they said, now, just based on your credit check, it'll be either $100 deposit, meaning you've got good credit and that's just the lowest tier that we have to charge for a deposit, or it could be up to $300 based on your credit. Well, of course, I have good credit, so it came back that I only had to put $100 down deposit to get my water cut on. Same way with trash. It was the same way. They run a credit check. They determine do I have to pay a deposit or not? So there again, I didn't have to pay any deposit for my trash. They just will bill me monthly for my trash pickup. So again, you don't necessarily have to buy anything or use your credit cards for purchases. That credit score also, again, can affect those type things. It can determine whether or not a landlord will rent to you. It could determine a lot of things. And a lot of times people who don't have credit or don't have established credit, then, that score and or that report will reflect that. And then in those instances, and I just know this because I've talked with landlords and I have friends who are in the real estate business, and they have properties that they, real estate that they rent out for extra income. Then they automatically, most of the time, unless you just got a really good income, most of the time they go ahead on and put that higher deposit that you have to pay. And again, that could be anything. It could be your car insurance. It could be renter's insurance. It could be, again, determining whether you're going to get a job. A lot of jobs, they will run a credit. It just depends on the nature of your job. So that's the importance of knowing your credit score. So that's the other thing I'm going to go into is, if you don't know where you are, you don't know what your credit score is. Once a year, all three of these credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, they will give you a free credit report every year, so you can see where you are. You can look at your report. You can see if there's any fictitious activities going on. It's good. It's important that everybody if you utilize credit, or even if you don't utilize credit, you want to make sure Johnny and your grandmama didn't put something in your name when you were born. And we can laugh about that, but we know that has happened. That has happened to people. Teenagers, they're graduating from high school. They're getting ready to go to college, and they may need to apply for a credit card or whatever the case may be. And they find out that their credit is already jacked up and ruined because their daddy or their mama, their auntie or sister or brother that was much older than them done already established credit in their name. And I'm telling you, it happens. Trust when I tell you, it happens. So even if you don't utilize credit, it's still good to get you a free credit report every year from all three bureaus, so you can see if there's any activity been going on that you did not allow or authorize. I can't tell you how many news reports and videos we've even seen out here on YouTube. The fraud is real. That's why people pay for LifeLock and all that good stuff. So like I said, even though you don't use credit, you may not have a credit card in your name, check to see where you are. Because, honey, that's a long walk from the bank of the parking lot of a bank when you think you got everything, perfect, and your dreams die in the parking lot of a bank because what you thought was authentic concerning your business is not. So again, always do that and make sure that you're doing that. So anyway, all these companies, all this information is you Google it. And you can find them on a Google search and get the information that you need from them. Okay. So now that we've talked about that, and of course how we talk about, and like I said, to go into more depth, how is credit rated? How do you establish and all that? Again, that stuff that you have to do your homework and you have to study and see how all that affects you. Again, the purpose of me telling you is just giving you snippets of information so that you can take that information and go and study yourself to show yourself approved. Because again, this is your business. And also the other thing too about credit, if you don't know where you are, you don't know where to start, most people have a bank that they use. Go to your local financial institution. That's part of their job. A lot of times all we want is our credit, our checking account, savings account set up, making sure we got our account number, making sure the money is in there, and we going about our business. But go in there and talk to somebody in your financial institution and say, hey, look, I want to be able to buy a house. I want to be able to buy a car, whatever the case may be. And ask them to give you, most banks now offer credit monitoring. Most banks will offer that. Most credit cards, some of them will have that as a benefit, that they have a credit check or credit wise monitoring system where they're monitoring your credit and it doesn't, affect your credit score. So find out whatever bank that you're working with, that you use, and see if they offer that credit check or credit monitoring. And then they can tell you, this is what you need to do to better increase your score. So now that's one of the things I did. And I also did that. And like I said, this was years ago. I also did this with a good friend. Here's another thing about your financial situation. It's one thing, I know we are private. We don't want people to know that we're got bad credit. It's like a scar. It's very taboo. But let me tell you something. Sometimes you better be able to talk to somebody about your finances that can help you. Let me say that again. Talk to someone about your financial situation that can help you, i.e., go to your financial institution, i.e., there might be somebody at your church or perhaps somebody on your job that they don't have a mouth problem, and they can give you some serious information. Or you be able to know how to ask questions so that people will unlock a lot of that information just having a conversation with people. But I know we're private. We don't want people, and that's understandable. But again, talk to somebody, or like I said, use resources. Dave Ramsey, Lou Hupp, who I just spoke about, the radio show that I listen to. Tune in, invest an hour of your time, and listen to those type shows. Those people call in. Some people call in and may have the very same issue you have, and boom, you've got free advice on how to, figure out your situation. But again, at least talk to somebody that can help you. So again, those are things that you have to do concerning your credit. Now, what happened with Tanya? Y'all want to know? Tanya was one of those people that was caught up back in the day, back in the late 80s, early 90s. Y'all remember, for those who remember, you remember when credit card companies used to set up shop on universities, community college campuses, and honey, they was flinging out credit cards left and right like candy, like it was Halloween, just giving out credit cards. Well, yeah, your girl got caught up in that and was getting a credit card for this, a credit card for that. But guess what? Somebody say, Tanya, the bill is going to become due. So I was one of them who got all this credit, disrespected it, charged it up, didn't know how to use it. And then when the bills came due, it was like compounded. And then I was bad about paying stuff late. I thought, well, you know what? You'll get it when I have it. That was my mentality. But in my early, 20 years old, 21, just probably a 3-year period. Oh man, I jacked up my credit so bad just by not paying the bills, wanted to go hang out and party with my friends. I used to wear weave, so I would buy hair by the pound, y'all. And I mean, who cares? Who cares? I mean, that was my mentality. Had no respect for credit whatsoever. Didn't realize the damage I would do with not understanding how credit works. Well, again, my thing was, okay, my minimum payment was $15. Guess what? I paid $15, but guess what? It was late. So not only was I paying the minimum, but I was also paying it late. So guess what? It was being reported. It was being reported to these, 3 credit bureaus that I was telling you about. So I was always behind the 8 ball. The other thing that I learned later on, we talking about way later on, late in my late 30s. I'm 48 now, going on 40. That's when I learned about how credit works. And again, my thing was, hey, if I got $1,000 limit, hey, I can use $1,000 and I just make my minimum payments. Well, guess what? When you make this your minimum payments, sometimes your minimum payments didn't even cover the finance charge. Again, not understanding credit, but now that I'm older and wiser and I'm not like in the microwave society where I want everything to become quick. A lot of times we don't want to put the work in. We want to put 2 minutes on the microwave and hit start, and when the beeper go off, we want everything to be fixed. Don't work like that with credit. It just don't. You got to put the work in to repair stuff. So again, I can give you blow by blow, but that was just the gist of how I jacked my credit up. Paying late, paying only the minimum, thinking I was good because I never went over the credit limit. But like I said, later on, once I start listening to the Lou Hutts and Dave Ramsey's, and remember Susie Oman, she was a really good one. When I learned how credit worked and how that is how it increases your credit score. How credit works is, let's say you get a credit card and you've got $1,000 balance on that credit card, okay? Well, the way the algorithm, if you will, works, only use 30% of your limit. That's the key. That's the little sweet spot. Try not to go over 30%, 33% usage. So that means if you've got $1,000, let's say you get a new credit card, you get $1,000 credit limit, only use $300 of that amount. Because what that means is when you use 30%, you're right at that 30%, but then you're also able to make payments on it. Let's say you charge $200 and you bought some clothes. And then when you get paid, you pay $100 on there. So you're still staying within that 30 percentile. But now here's another way that, and so when you make payments on it and you pay a little bit over the minimum payment, then what that does, it does something to your algorithm, and the creditor is saying, okay, they know how to use credit. They've used it. They've stayed in that 30%, area, and they're also making payments on time, and they're making more than the minimum payment. And so now let's just say something happens. Your tires blow out on your car, and you got to get a whole new set of tires. It might run you $500-600, just depending on, the brand you buy. So now you got to buy a whole new brand new spanking set of tires. Man, I have $600 sitting in your savings or for emergencies or whatever. So guess what? You got this credit card now you got $800 available to use. Go ahead on and charge it, but then find out when your billing or finance charge kick in. And when you get paid again, you may not can pay the whole $600 that you charge. Maybe you only can pay $350. Once you pay that $350, see, it brings you back down to that 30 percentile rate within that 30-day cycle. And that's what kicks your algorithm. That's what makes your credit and your credit score increase. Knowing how to use credit, staying within the minimum, and paying on it. And that is what causes creditors. So when they're reporting to those bureaus, that bureau knows, okay, your maximum is 1,000, but she's staying right here at this 30 percentile. And every month it gives a balance. Again, that's how these bureaus are tracking you. Every 30 days, they're looking at your balance. They're looking at your payments. They're looking at your credit utilization. And also with banks. Whenever you're going to get something financed, whenever you're going to go and you want to apply for whatever credit, you may have a good job and you probably make pretty good money. But guess what? You'll never get into a house if your debt to net ratio is high. Because they're saying what your debt to net ratio is saying is that, okay, let's say you make $60,000 a year, but out of that $60,000, again, there's a formula that says, okay, I'm gonna just, because I don't have the figures right here in front of me. Let's say out of that $60,000, only 30% of that, or whatever the amount is, should be going towards home, car, insurance, stuff we need to live, water, lights, food. That net to debt ratio, if they see that you making $60,000, but let's say almost 70% of that income is going toward debt, toward like credit card debt or just debt, then it's going to be hard for you to get finance for something that you really need to be financed for, i.e. a home. A lot of people will apply for homes and they may get a loan for that home, but you may be paying a higher premium as far as your interest rate. Whereas me, my interest rate was really low. I could afford the same amount of house that you can afford. But guess what? I'm going to pay less interest rate on that money than you are because of your debt to net ratio. And or if you have too much debt, let's say you want a $300,000 house, but because of your debt, you only can afford, they only will get, no bank will loan you no more than $175,000 worth of home. So now you've got to choose in that bracket, and you may not ever find what you want in that $175,000 range, just depending on your lifestyle, your family, how many children you got, and all that. So that's also important to know your debt to net ratio. Like I said, they'll look at whatever you make, and that's why finances is a personal thing. Finances is applicable to your lifestyle and what you have accumulated in debt. So again, if you got this amount of money, but you're trying to buy a car, or you're trying to buy a house, or whatever you're trying to purchase, and you need credit to do it, they will look at all of that. And if you've got too much money going out, some banks will say, well, look, because it happened to me years ago when I tried to go back out there and buy it. They said, your debt is too high, Miss Howe. If you pay off 3 or 4 of these other debts and credits, then that frees up some monies per month that you're having to pump out to those credit accounts. That frees you up some money. So now we know that you are able to pay this mortgage every month. So again, going back to what I said, when you have debt, they look at everything. When I got in this house, honey, you can put anything you want on that application. You can say that you make this, that, and the other. You can say that you don't have anything happening over here and over there. But guess what? That's why it takes 30 days or sometimes longer for a closing to happen on a house. Because guess what? Everything you put on that application, you better believe, baby. They want to know what your mama look like. They want to know what your daddy look like. They want to know what that joker that used to come and pick up your trash look like. Oh yeah, they're going to ask, they're going to be intrusive. They want to see your credit cards and make sure that you ain't, doing, using your credit card frivolously. Oh yeah, they're looking at your history, and they're checking with your employment verification. They're looking at all of that, and that's all under that umbrella of credit. So don't think just because you're approved and everything for a home and everything, but guess what? Meanwhile, back at the ranch, oh yeah, they're doing this right here. Okay, yeah, she said that she made this amount of money. Okay, let me call her company to make sure, verify to make sure. Okay, let me run background checks to make sure she ain't just got a windfall and maybe hiding assets. And oh honey, oh yeah, they're doing it all. They're doing it all behind the scenes. Again, these are just things that you learn as you go. But like I said, the main thing is everybody needs to see where they are. They really need to see where they are so they have something to work on. Now, again, going back to my situation, let me tell you what I had to do. I was in a bad shape. When I tell you I was in bad shape financially, I was in bad shape. That was right along the time that, I had left the relationship. So that income was gone out of my household. I was in bad shape because I was a person that, my money was what I made and he had to help pay the bills. Okay. Well, guess what? When that relationship ended and that money was gone, honey, oh yeah, I had to make a decision. And let me tell you, my credit was so bad, and so it was just so behind. Look, I wouldn't even answer my phone until after 9 o'clock at night because I knew that's when the times debt collectors couldn't call you. And so I had so many credit card accounts that I just stopped paying on them. It was bad, y'all, because I was busy trying to pay my rent and all that kind of stuff and put a roof over me and Dexter's head, and so we can eat and everything. I mean, one thing we won't never gonna be, none, because y'all know Mama How, she was always feeding us. But yeah, what I had to do, y'all, is, I was working, like I said, the company I work with, I've been working for this company for 30 plus years. So back then, guess what I had to do? Yeah, I was dressing all up, looking nice at my office job. Cause the job, let me just back up. The job that I'm still at now, I started out on the production line, and over the years have just worked my way up, put myself through school, got my business degree, and now I am a corporate supervisor in customer service. But before all that, where I am now, baby, when I was, let's see, 19, oh yeah, guess where I was at? I was on the production floor line, working in production. And then as I said, over the years, I moved myself up. Well, like I said, I was in such a financial bind. I thought, you know what? I done asked my mom and my daddy to help me, give me some money, which they did. But I said, you know what? I'm going to pay them back. So this is what your girl had to do. By day, let me tell you, sometimes we have to do stuff that's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. So what I had to do, because I had to get some income coming in some kind of way, I dressed all up in my little nice office attire from 8 to 5. I took me an hour break. And from 6 to 11:30 at night, I went right back out there on that production floor and got the bag. As they say, yeah, I got the bag. So what I'm telling you, some things we're going to have to do. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. I got myself into that mess, and I knew I had to get myself out. So I went back out there on that floor, and you know what? I had to. It is what it is. People saw me. They would say, oh my God, Tanya, what you doing back out here on the floor? You ain't get fired. I said, nope, didn't get fired. I'm in a financial situation. I should have brought some water, y'all. I've been jaw jacking. I was in a bad financial situation. I just told people, in other words, it wasn't their business, but so I could focus on what I needed to do. I said, look, I'm in a financial situation, and I thank God that the company is allowing me to come back out here on the floor and work until I get myself situated. I didn't have to drive nowhere else. I was already out there at work. I took from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. I took me an hour break. I suited and booted and put my hairnet on, my earplugs on, my goggles, and my smock and my rubber boots. Oh yes, and your girl went back out there on the line, and I did that for about 7 months until I got myself out of a financial horrible hole. I mean, I was on the precipice of repossession. Oh honey, all that happened. Oh yes. But you know what? Like I said, I had a mouth to feed. I had a son that I had to consider. And I didn't feel like, you know what? I'm not finna be begging my parents every month. I'm not finna be begging this one. I don't want to have to do nothing. Look, people, do what you need to do. But what you need to do is do some things sometimes that's uncomfortable. But anyway, what I wanted to say was that, you know, I didn't just go back out on that production floor to do what I needed to do to make the bag, to make the money. I also cut out some stuff. Guess what? No more going to the movies. I had to give up that weave. I cut cable off for a whole year. What else did I do? And some other little things, because I needed to have immediate income coming into my house. So I had to make the sacrifice, and a lot of times that some people don't want to make the sacrifice. They want to continue to still live a particular lifestyle, but baby, you got to make money to make things happen. Like the word tells us, money still answereth all things. So I just wanted to for y'all to be encouraged, and you're gonna have a conversation with your family or anybody that's dependent on you financially. If you need the help of your parents, say, look, I may need you to watch, you know, Dexter, whoever your child name is or children name is. Can you watch them for 5 hours a day? You know, make sure he good. And the good thing is Dexter was around 13 at the time, so he could be home by himself. In North Carolina, you can be 12 and leave your child at home. And again, it just depended on your child. But anyway, so he was good. But I'm just saying, if you need the parents to check up on your child or whatever the case may be while you're working these extra hours, and like I said, you're going to have a conversation with your family or whoever is close to you that you may need them to help in that way. And just sit your family down and just say, listen, we're going through financial issues. I don't want you to be concerned, but for right now, we're going to have to cut out TV. And let me tell you, back then, luckily back then, TVs were still in analog. So even with cable out, we still had about a good 15 channels we could just watch, and it was just regular TV. But nowadays, you can still watch regular TV. You just need one of them converter boxes and, hey, do it moving. And so you're going to have a conversation with your family. You might have to tell your family, look, we can't go to the movies. Guess what? Most libraries now, they have pretty current, up-to-date movies, just depending on, if everybody's going to the library, renting out movies. I'm just telling you, do what you need to do to get yourself in a better financial position. And we can talk about, oh, you shouldn't have done it. Okay, well, we know that. But now it's happened. It's upon us. So what are we going to do to correct it? So I'm just telling you some of the things that I had to do in order to get more income coming into my house quickly. And that was the other thing. I was able to go from one transition to one job during the day, go there. And then some weekends I had to work. But again, it was uncomfortable. And look, I wasn't embarrassed. I really wasn't. Because once I told people that, they said, girl, you was a good one. Wow, I can't believe you did it. I said, yeah, believe it. I'm not having to run and ask nobody, chase nobody. And you know what? There's a sense of accomplishment, of knowing, man, you know what? I got myself in this mess. But thank be unto God, he gave me the blinders to not be ashamed, the blinders to not be embarrassed, to get myself over this hump. And you know what? It's just for a season. It's just temporary. So we have to do things temporarily. And again, it may be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. So don't think that, this stuff is easy and it's going to be quick and microwavable. It's not. It's going to take some time. And it took me some years to repair. Because even after I got myself in a position where I caught everything up, I still owed some money. And there were a few credit cards. Most credit card companies, once you stop paying, it'll go to collection. So that's where you get all these phone calls from collection agencies. Here's another tip that can help you with credit. Call those credit card companies. Most credit card companies have what they call a debt negotiation or, department, and say, look, I know I owe $1,000 on this credit card. Can I arrange to make payments with you and pay it? And can we settle on a $600? Okay. Cause most of it may be, some of it may be, interest on it. You'd be surprised just by you talking to a debt settlement person for that particular company. You'd be surprised. You can settle a lot of that debt just by talking to them and just asking them, hey, are you willing to take $600 on this $1,000? And 2 of my credit cards, I was able to do that. But and they did, and I asked for them to send that to me in writing, and they did. And I was able to do 2 that way. But the other ones, no, I had to go ahead on it. Like I said, that's why I had to work and do what I had to do to get that debt paid and to get myself with a little bit of a savings, so I would find myself in 3 or 4 months in the same position. So again, when you're going to get yourself out of a situation, get yourself out all the way. And again, it's just temporal. It's only for a season. And like I said, I think I did that for close to 7 months so I could get myself in a better financial position. I mean, it didn't make me feel good to have to not answer my phone. I mean, let me tell you, these debt collectors are relentless. They call your job. It was horrible. It was embarrassing. Now, that part was embarrassing. So I just sat and I said, you know what, girl, you got to do something. And that's what you have to do. So everybody, look at your own financial situation and see what it is that you, your spouse, or if it's just you, look at your situation. And also remember to respect debt. Know how to use credit and make it work for you. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of people who use their credit cards to just pay their bills. And before that finance charge hits, they go and when they get paid, they pay half of it off or they pay all of it off. And again, it keeps that algorithm, if you will, for that credit to increase. Because again, they're using it. They may go over that 30%, but they quickly pay it down before that finance charge hits. So they're really getting free money for a couple of weeks, if you will. But again, it's about you studying your accounts. Look at when your billing cycle and your finance charges. Most credit cards now, they will tell you, okay, if you pay this amount by, if you pay this amount, then you won't get charged a finance charge. At least my credit cards do. I'm not sure how everybody else's does. And they'll tell you, they'll show you too, if you make minimum payments with the current balance, this is when you'll have it paid off. And it could be way in 2030. So those are some of the things and some of the laws that were passed, because even when we had that housing market crash, excuse me, there were a lot of people, a lot of banks were giving people money that couldn't afford it. And so now it's much more strict now. They're really look through your stuff with a fine tooth comb now to make sure, number one, your debt to net ratio is intact, that your credit score shows that, okay, this person is a good financial risk for us to loan her or him or them this money. And of course, your frequency of pay. How often do you pay your credit cards? Are you paying on time? And do you pay the minimum or do you pay a little bit more? So again, these are just things. I just wanted to make sure that I talked about certain things. And same way with budgeting. Some people, have you really sat down and budgeted and see exactly how much you got coming in versus how much you got going out? I'm telling you, that was because I thought, oh, who got time to do that? Because sometimes we don't want to look at reality of what we got. That was one of the best things I done too. Again, listening to Lou Hutt and Dave Ramsey. Seriously, it's almost like the word, write the vision and make it plain. Write down your budget. If it's just your income or you got whatever, everything you got coming in, look at it. And then you look at what goes out and say, and like your light bill, water bill and stuff, that kind of stuff will fluctuate. But just do an average of what you put out a month. Look at what you got going out versus what you got coming in. And then also look at your lifestyle. A lot of times, of course, you don't want to be bored all the time. You want to do something every once in a while. But if you go out every weekend, this was a hard thing for me to get to. If you go out every weekend, let's say you go clubbing, let's say you go out to eat, whatever the case may be, and you spend every weekend anywhere from $50 to $75. And that's not even an exaggeration. There are people, and there's nothing wrong with going out, but sometimes you might have to tell your girlfriend, look, for the next 6 months, I can't go to the club with y'all. Hey, let's go to Walmart and get us some chips and dip, whatever. Everybody bring product. We can sit over here and play music and, hopefully you don't disturb the neighbors. But you understand what I'm saying. And get your party on and fellowship on with your friends that way. I'm just telling you, you're going to have to do that because you can get out there and what happens? I will just tell you about like me. When I was going out and clubbing and all that stuff, guess what? I wanted me a new outfit. I wanted my hair done and all that. Well, that costs money. And if you're doing that every Saturday and you blowing anywhere from $50 to $75 every Saturday, I'm talking about that's easy to blow that. Well, you figure if you blowing that money, that's almost $300 that you could be saving per month if you cut those activities out and putting it towards your debt so that if you desire to be a homeowner or if you just desire, or like I said, anything, it don't even have to be that you're buying anything. It could be that you're trying to get this big time job or whatever. It could be that you need, you're trying to get car insurance or whatever, or you just got, you got your first apartment, but now you got to pay almost $600 just to get your water and your lights and your water lights and phone cut on. Because why? You got such high deposits you got to make. So that credit affects everything that you do. It really does when it comes to finances. But anyway, like I said, I wanted to just share some things that worked for me. And like I said, the main thing, the takeaway is when you don't have enough money coming in, you have got to find ways to cut back. And again, if that means cutting off, cell phones and everybody use a landline or whatever, or you got a family plan and it's $400 a month. Oh, guess what? It's going to be one cell phone. And that sounds kind of taboo, but baby, you have to do what you have to do. If that $400 a month is keeping you from cleaning up your credit and cleaning up your debt, and perhaps maybe one day you want to take your family to a bigger house and you got 3 girls sleeping in a room, and I'm not saying, hey, you do, if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But if you desire better for your family, or even just better for yourself, you have to find ways to cut. And like I said, for me, not only did I cut out stuff, but I also got back out there on that floor and did what I had to do. And like I said, people still come up to me and say, girl, I remember that when you went out back out there on that floor and work, girl, you want no shame in your game? I said, sure won't. Not when there was money for me to go and get, and all I had, and there was nothing wrong with my body physically, and I was able to put my hands and feet, like the word said, baby, if you don't work, you don't eat. And I recognized I was literally in that situation. So again, those are some of the things that you have to do. And like I said, it didn't happen overnight. And so that way, so when I got ready to, when I applied for this house that I applied for, granted, I wanted to have my car paid off when I applied for the house. Not that I couldn't afford it, but you know how you be wanting just a clean slate, no debt and all that kind of stuff. But it just so happened God catapulted me. And when I did, it was perfect timing. Because let me tell you something about timing. I'll tell that to y'all in another video. Because like I said, right now we're talking about credit. So like I said, those are the takeaways from this video, is that go to your financial institution, or again, listen to Lou Hutt on Sirius XM radio. Listen to Dave Ramsey. And like I said, they are all over the internet. They're saturated. The good news is Lou Hutt, he has a show that you can call in. You may have to wait on hold, but if you got a pressing issue, what better person that actually can help you? Or maybe just listen in a couple of Saturdays. Because a lot of times, like I said, what they're discussing or what somebody might call in about, it may be your very situation. See what your credit report looks like. Find out where you are, regardless of whether you want to use credit or not, just to make sure you're doing a health check on your credit. Okay? And look, there are people on Instagram who have credit repair businesses. Like I said, if you don't know how to call a credit card company and you're scared to ask them to, negotiate or settle on a debt, and a lot of times you'd be surprised just doing that, you can do it yourself. But if you may perhaps have a few dollars here and there, but again, you're going and you're talking to people that can help you. Hit up and look up some people on Instagram who are entrepreneurs, who are hungry and want business, and they have the tools and the blueprint to help you better your credit. But like I said, I'm just telling you the things that I did in the past that helped me. So whenever I applied for this loan for this house, let me tell you something, that it went so smooth. And plus I had all my information lined up. I had all my stuff already. And it was just, it was smooth, y'all. When I tell you it was smooth like butter, it was smooth. Because I had done my homework. I knew my credit was good. But again, my head was, I don't want no car note. I want to be able to buy a house, and I don't want no, just thinking, I don't want nothing to stand in my way. I don't want them to say, well, it all worked out. But it's because I had the knowledge. And like I said, with that 30% usage of your credit, I got a couple of credit cards. Once I found out that information and I was approved for these certain credit cards, that's what I did. I worked it. And it came, and it was true. And every couple of months, I'd see my credit score go up about 10 points. 8 points here from month to month. It was just inching up because I was using that 30% credit usage. Again, if you got $1,000, only use about 300 of it. You can use your credit just because you got $1,000 limit. Don't run it up, and then now your balance is there, and you can't never use it anymore because you're at your peak. That doesn't, and you can be paying your bill on time and making a minimum payment, but that does not move your credit report. I mean, it's part of your credit score, but it doesn't move it. It doesn't increase it. It doesn't. It just will stay like you. It's okay. Well, you're maintaining your same score, but the key is we want to increase our credit score by reducing debt. So when a financial institution looks at us, they say, "Okay, she's," and then guess what, y'all? It gives you a lower interest rate. Yes, it gives you a lower interest rate. So Mr. Cool Mo D over there, he might be making a $300,000-$400,000 a year, but they won't approve him for $200,000 or $150,000 house because he got too much debt. But me, I might be making $70,000, and I could get into a $300,000 house because my interest rate, I'm not going to be paying the kind of money he having to pay for it, and I can get a better house. So like I said, all these things, once you understand finances, once you understand the numbers and how all that stuff works, let me tell you something. Having a good credit score gains you access, and it also gives you a lower interest rate. So that same money you borrowing, it's not going to cost you as much as that is the man down the street. Because what? You've been a good steward of your credit. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Please leave any questions or email me if you have any questions about anything that I said. And like I said, I'm just telling you what worked for Tanya. I'm sure there are some people out here that are gurus. Y'all get in the comment section and share information with one another. I'm just telling you based on my experience of what I had to do to lower my debt. I had to get out there and work. I had to do it. Some other people may have somebody in their family that can loan them money to, or either just gift them with money and pay off debt. But for some of us, whatever we found ourselves in, I thank God that he provided a way of escape. And guess what I had to do? I had to put my hands to work, and I had to open my mind and gain knowledge so I wouldn't continue to perish. So anyway, like I said, I'm just going over some of these things that I wrote notes on. Again, I hope this was helpful. And again, y'all stay tuned for other videos concerning home series and what it was like going through the mortgage process. And I'll be sharing and uploading those videos. I know this is a long video, but again, I just wanted to make sure I had everything in here so that everybody could get it and replay it if you need to. But anyway, thank you so much for your concerns and for your prayers and for just your well wishes. And I pray that the tips that I have left and then the resources I've directed you to open up a window for you so that you too can believe and see that home ownership is just what? Knowledge away. It's just knowledge away. So anyway, love y'all. God bless. And may the peace of the Lord be with you. Bye, y'all.